one thing that's the key thing we've talked about this before is we named the person I wanted to be. I always knew who I wanted to be, the guy I wanted to be. We named him CEO Joe. He gets up early, he works out the gym, he eats healthy, he hydrates, he, takes time and balances for himself, he time management. He's just the guy that does it all and can do it all. And so you helped me. This was by far the most valuable thing. You helped me realize that I can be that person now. Like I am that person. And so when I'm laying in bed and I'm like, oh, 4:30, I don't really want to go to the gym. CEO Joe would go because CEO Joe goes to the gym. And so that mindset was like, okay, let's not hit snooze. Let's get up at 4:30. Let's go to the gym. With the kids, it's the only time to be consistent is early. And so that I think something that I was resistant to. And now it's like I just get up at 4:30 and it works, gives me my time. Kids still sleeping, wife still sleeping, and I'm able to manage that. So that mindset of labeling who I knew I wanted to be and that bringing it to this is who I am, but that assistance of like CEO Joe would do it, that was massive. Like everybody kind of has an idea of who they want to be, unless they're still in the exploration phase. But once you kind of know who you want to be and the direction you want to go in life, you see it over here. But to feel it in here is very different. And since making that transition, that identity shift of me, I just feel like my crazy wild goals are actually achievable. That I am more confident when I'm in social situations. I don't wait. I don't feel like because I'm young, I'm just about to turn 30. I'm a small guy. I'm 5'7". I don't got a lot of muscles. Like I'm not that like walk in a room and, look like, oh, this guy, he's got his shit together right here. And so that always kind of had weight. That was some luggage, some baggage holding me back from making that transition. And since making that transition, it's allowed me to remove all of that insecurities and like I am that guy. And I don't really care if any of these people see it, care about it, any of that. Like I am that guy. And yeah, I mean, that's just, it feels so good inside to just eliminate all that luggage, all that care about what other people think, and just be the guy. Because at the end of the day, I'm that guy for my business, which is going to make me that guy for my family, which is going to get me the goals I want in life. And I'm going to be having that beautiful multi-million dollar property looking over the ocean and having my executive office. And I don't really care what anybody else thinks about it, you know?
Let's freaking go. Give me a fist bump or something. Like the thing that I will say about that, I can feel that in
hmm
my chest. I can feel that. And that's what's possible when you get clear on your vision. When you get clear on what are the patterns that are holding you back, you shift those and then you fully step into it and shift that identity. All right, we got a client interview today with Dr. Joe. I'm super excited to dive into this one. Dr. Joe, thanks for jumping on, man.
Yeah, happy to be here. Just excited to help share what you've done for me with everyone else and give them a good idea of how awesome this is.
Let's go. Let's do it. So we were kind of talking about this right before. Basically, the goal for this is just to hear about you and your story and going through kind of the program, implementing the systems in an effort that somebody who's listening to this can connect with it and feel good about taking that next step. So, first question is just tell us who you are, what you do, and where you live.
So I'm Dr. Joe Eddins. I am a chiropractor. I live in Hawaii on Oahu. For everybody who doesn't know, that's where Waikiki is. Um, we've been here for about 3 years. We took over a business from a retiring doctor. We moved to Hawaii, bought a business, and had a baby in 3 months. So it's been
Dang.
crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we are. We kind of jumped in and just have been continuously growing the business and pushing hard at that.
Awesome. Super jealous. I remember our first call. I was like, dang, you live in Hawaii. That's awesome. So, what was like just going on before you started the coaching process and like what were some of the things that you were struggling with that made you want to even reach out in the first place?
Yeah, I found myself kind of getting to a point where I was recognizing that I could get to a burnout. I've been pushing really hard, having an infant and now a toddler, and um, the business we'd really, I mean, we've almost 4x'd it in the 3 years. So that takes a
Yeah.
lot of effort to do that. And so I was finding that I was valuing prioritizing work over myself, and I was seeing that I was going towards burnout. Now I treat a handful of like high executive people, some famous people, some pro athletes. So one of my patients, we become really close, and she actually had started talking about life coaching that they did. And it was around the time I was thinking about life coaching. So I had asked her, I said, like, what made the decision to do it? And she simply said, if you even have a thought that you need to do it, you need to do it because it's not worth the burnout. Burnout as a business owner costs you way more than
Yeah.
paying for any life coach or anything like that. And so because she was such a high exec, I was like, all right, this is some advice I need to listen to. So then it was like not necessarily like, do I need a life coach or not? Now it's okay, what life coach do I need?
Mm.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, like, you said you felt like you were on the brink of burnout or you were
hmm
about to burn out? Like, what were some of the either events or symptoms that you noticed that made you realize that? And yeah, I want to kind of understand that a little bit.
I think I was getting more, I was definitely shorter with my like thread of patience with my wife, with my daughter. Like I was more antsy, more angry, I guess.
Yeah.
I was spending hours at the office. So it was just, I was looking, my wife works part-time, so she was able to take care of Riley and whatnot. And so I was just seeing like I was missing things. And when I was home, I was just like exhausted or mentally drained. And so I was just seeing that I could still maintain it like it was okay, but I was like, I think I'm seeing that if I maintain this now, I'm going to burn out because I was already recognizing and seeing myself get towards that energy level that I just don't like.
Yeah, that's actually a pattern I see a lot with business owners, with young kid clients. It's
hmm
when you're short with your kids
hmm
and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? And
Yeah.
it's nothing like against your kids. It doesn't mean you're a bad dad or a bad
Yeah.
parent. It's just all of the overwhelm from the business, all of like the lingering things that you have up here, the I should have done this earlier today, that like comes out in
Yeah.
those moments. And that's usually like a kind of like a sign. I'm curious, you were feeling like the burnout, you recognize that. What was like, how did you hear about me and Driven Dadpreneur? What was like the first video that you saw?
Yeah, so I was looking on Instagram. That's usually where I do like kind of a lot of my first searches for any services. And because obviously the algorithm works, things were coming up, different coaches were coming up and whatnot. And you know, the hard thing with coaches is when you have kids, if the coach doesn't have kids or maybe they have older kids, like they don't quite grasp that toddler young kid family balance. It's not necessarily like I would come to work at 6 a.m., I get home at 7:30 p.m. or 7 p.m. immediate, you know, wash the kid, take the kid to bed, like do the whole bedtime routine. Then it's eight
Yeah.
o'clock. Now I'm eating, 9 o'clock, passing out in bed. Like that's the routine. And you have when you have kids, you don't know, like in the morning, sometimes I can get out of the house in 30 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour and a half because whatever the kid needs. And so typical life coaches, I feel like that was a hard thing that I wasn't seeing. And then with you, like the dadpreneur side, obviously like in the title, you understand that complexity and that ability of a dad entrepreneur having to be flexible and having to balance that family life and having the young kids. I mean, that's very different than having teenagers or whatever. So, like that part drew to me. But then also, when I started watching your videos, I think what really sold me on you was there was one video that talked about when you come to work, you're just dealing with chaos. And I was like, oh, that's what I do. I come home, come to the office, I sit down, and I'm like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. Oh, crap, got to do this. Got to do this. So I'm bouncing in between all these tabs, just like going chaotic with no game plan. And I'm getting things done, but I'm like, holy, I'm like reactive. That was the other
Mm.
videos. You talked about being reactive to when you sit down. So no game plan. I'm just letting my emails kind of dictate what I'm doing. And so, like, as soon as I watched those videos, that was a big aha for me of like, that's exactly what's happening to me.
Mm,
And then that's when I booked my call with you because I was like, okay, this guy, he gets that aspect.
yeah. I think you and I've talked about this too, because if you don't have kids, you don't understand, like, you can't take time management advice from people who just don't have kids.
No.
You can't take like business advice from people who don't have kids because it's such a unique perspective that
Well,
is
and the
so
values
core
are
to your
different.
yeah, it's so core to your identity too.
Yeah.
Because you've got the seven-figure business, you're married, but you love being a dad and you're a
Yeah.
great dad. And I
Yeah.
could I could just tell from the very beginning, like that's a huge part of your identity.
Yeah.
So that's why you needed like the system and the approach to help you with those areas. So that's really good context. Can you tell me, like, once you got started with the kind of like the coaching process, what were some of the most beneficial aspects for you?
Yeah, so I opted to do like the weekly coaching calls.
Yep.
Uh I opted to do that because I want to have conversation, I want to be personal, and I want to keep it fresh. So the biggest things through the really 3 months that we've worked together has been, my business is transitioning from owner operator to my role of becoming more of the CEO, and that mindset is very different. And that was another thing that I was kind of recognizing needed to happen at the same time that I was like looking for a life coach. And so that aspect of it was really important. And that transition, you helped me through that. One thing that's the key thing, we've talked about this before, is we named the person I wanted to be. I always knew who I wanted to be, the guy I wanted to be. We named him CEO Joe. He gets up early, he works at the gym, he eats healthy, he hydrates, he, takes time and balances for himself, he time management. He's just the guy that does it all and can do it all. And so you helped me. This was by far the most valuable thing. You helped me realize that I can be that person now. Like I am that person. And so when I'm laying in bed and I'm like, oh, 4:30, I don't really want to go to the gym. CEO Joe would go because CEO Joe goes to the gym. And so that mindset was like, okay, let's not hit snooze. Let's get up at 4:30. Let's go to the gym. With the kids, it's the only time to be consistent is early. And so that I think something that I was resistant to. And now it's like I just get up at 4:30 and it works, gives me my time. Kids still sleeping, wife still sleeping, and I'm able to manage that. So that mindset of labeling who I knew I wanted to be and that bringing it to this is who I am, but that assistance of like CEO Joe would do it, that was massive.
Yeah. So I remember we talked about that actually on our first call. Because for you, it wasn't just about like time management, it wasn't just about accountability. And I think a lot of people who are listening to this can benefit from this shift as well. It's more a shift in identity of
Mm-hmm.
how you see yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way that you saw yourself is what got you to this point. And then the next level of your growth was really in thinking of yourself as that CEO and operating like that person every day.
Yeah.
So, what started to change for you? You said you started prioritizing the gym a
Mm-hmm.
lot more. Um, what else started to change for you when you operated as the CEO?
I think it made very clear the things I wanted to do, I stopped wanting to do it and I just did it. So obviously the getting up and going to the gym, that was a big thing for me. Started doing that consistent. And once I started, I didn't stop. That is who I am. So that is what I started doing. The other thing is going to be when I sit at the computer, I no longer immediately go reactive and chaos. Time management, the time blocking was one thing that I've really struggled with. And so you really helped me work through like, okay, if this massive thing doesn't work for you, I'm with patients all day, so I may only have like 2 hours in the morning to do something or 3 hours at a time. And so for me, my brain was always going through, well, that's not enough time for that. That's not enough time to time block. And so you helped me shift that to even if it's an hour, time block it and see what happens. And I've managed when I do it and I do it, and I've been doing it much more consistent, but you helped me figure out what works best for me. And I'm
Hmm.
still working on it, still work in progress on that. But you helped me be able to like fully eliminate that chaos because I was still doing it a little bit. I was recognizing it, but I was still doing it a little bit. But you've helped me now fully eliminate that chaos so that I can be more structured with that. So my confidence coming into the office now of tasks and organization, and I'm a fairly organized guy, but it's all kept up here. This has allowed me to put it down so that I can clear that mind, that space in my brain, so I can focus on what I'm doing.
Mm, that's been really cool. And
Yeah.
I've definitely seen that. Like it's just the mentality has carried over into how you wake up in the morning, how you relax on the weekends, the hiring or firing decisions that you make
Yeah.
over that you've made over the past 3 months. So, was there anything else that has been beneficial from the coaching process that you want to highlight?
I think it really helped me find my work-life balance even more. You know, that's always something we really prioritize. Like Sundays, I would never do anything. That's always for the house. But
Yeah.
something we've been more recently working on, which we recently discovered in our calls, was, I was CEO Joe Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
I've been doing fantastic at it. But then the weekend hits and I go back to being like lazy and, not that vibration and mindset that I want to be in. And so that's something
Hmm.
we just realized that I need to hear it click. And that's one thing I've always appreciated about you is no matter how many times that I don't get it, you keep shifting the way of explaining things to me or talking through things to me until that one, oh,
It
yeah,
clicks.
okay, it
Yeah.
clicks. That's what I needed to hear. And you've done that through the whole process, which is awesome because, you know, you can say it a million ways, but it's not till the one way till somebody gets it, you know?
Yeah, it's not really like information isn't useful until it changes your behavior.
Yeah.
And as an overwhelmed dad and business owner, you don't need more information. You need systems that can change your behavior.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you've done a really good job of like taking these things and just running with it.
Yeah.
And so that's cool to hear that those aspects were really helpful for you. So how has that just benefited you in terms of either results in your business or like what types of things are you the most proud of over the past couple months?
I mean, I did not think I would get near as much out of these 3 months as I did. You know, this really took me a full identity shift. It went from being owner operator to, okay, my goal is just to make this amount of money a month to transitioning to, I want to make this amount of money a month, but I don't have to be at the office. So it's a mindset shift of work, 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 work to, hmm, let me get the proper systems in place so that I can be CEO. I don't have to be at the office. I maybe don't make as much money, but I'm still making a good amount of money, but I don't have to be there, so I can focus on other ventures. So that is something I didn't expect out of the process that I fully changed that mindset. So now I'm back onto I'm hiring another chiropractor. You know, we just hired one. We're looking to hire another one. I just hired an office manager. Like I'm buying back my time to get that CEO to be that CEO so that I can focus on other ventures. And so that I think I was I wanted that, but I didn't think it could happen in 3 months, quite honestly. I thought it would be paced with the process of the growth of the business, but in reality, it was like I had to shift my identity to be able to allow the business to grow in that direction. So that was something that was, I mean, unexpected, but massive. Like I remember our first call, my goal was I want to get back in the gym. And I think after that first call, I went back in the gym and never stopped going. And that's when I was like, dang, well, what's next? You know? And that's the other thing. Like, I'm a big organized guy, and you always come organized. So like, you have structure. It's not like we just jump on here and we just start talking story, whatever. You have structure behind it. You're like, okay, today this is the topic we're going to go through. And then that creates the talking story and, going back and forth and working through things. But it's like, it's structured. It's not like, hey, what do you want to talk about today?
Yeah.
Which is appreciated.
Yeah. Okay. Because actually, there's a couple things here. You said something really cool, which is that you were kind of expecting the growth of the business to drive how you needed to think.
Mm-hmm.
But what you realize through this process is it's actually the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you think and your vision is what drove the growth of the business. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
because I know that through creating the long-term vision, getting clear on how you needed to operate it and how your business needed to evolve to fit that, I think that's what let you make that shift.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's really cool. The other thing is, I remember you had a bad experience with coaching
Mm-hmm.
in the past, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you were a little bit skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Can you just talk about like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it,
Yeah, I mean, we had hired, it was a more of a business coach for chiropractic, but it was similar concept like mindset and whatnot. Um, and it was just not structured. It was, it was
yeah,
sold to be this awesome thing, and then you get in there and it's like, okay, what are we gonna talk about? And it was like, I just was paying this guy to like sit up and like me essentially leading it, and it's like, I have too many things going on. I do not
yeah,
need to be leading this. I paid you to do this. So we ended up like canceling that, and
got it.
it was terrible. And so I was hesitant. And one of the things too is because of that, my wife, who is my business partner, she's also a chiropractor, was definitely more skeptical and hesitant towards any more coaching. And so this was a decision which is very rare, but I made an executive decision for myself to do this. It was it was something that I actually told her after the fact, which is not very common. And she was
Yes.
totally accepting. She ended up doing her own life coaching with a different life coach. Um, but it was something where it's like, this is a decision I need to do for myself because nobody else is in my brain. Nobody else is in my situation. No, like, she works part-time and she just gets to come in and be a doctor and go home. And I'm the one that's doing like all the business stuff. And so it was more a choice for me to really be that leader for my family. And I think that was another shift that occurred. I think making that first step to sign up with you and then throughout the transition was realizing that because we're like best friends, we're close. We went through chiropractic school together. We're chiropractors. Like we are, if we could choose somebody to hang out with the rest of life, it would be each other. So we do
Yeah.
a lot of things together and we make decisions together. And that's just how we've been. But what I've realized is, and especially since having our daughter, is there is an aspect of me turning into this leader in the family as well. And knowing that my ability to go to the gym doesn't rely on her ability to work out either. I know that if I start working out the gym consistently and getting up consistent, and we're about to get a cold plunge because I want to do it, she will start doing it. She will start following along, and she's usually the more get up and work out and spontaneous workout and stuff. But I was like, okay, I'm going to create this consistency. I'm going to create this positive mindset in our household. I'm going to create this health and wellness in our household. And she's either going to follow suit or it's going to be for me. But I was choosing it for me to be that leader, and that has definitely shifted the positive. It's driven our home life positive as well.
Dude, mic drop moment right there. Dang. This is huge. Okay. Because for anybody who's listening, yes, you are leading your business, but are you leading your family in the same way? And this is one of the exact same shifts that I've had to make because I'm the same way. Like Emily's my best friend up until a certain point. What do you think about this? I want to make sure that this is the right decision. But you realized that it's your responsibility to drive the business forward and to create an amazing life for your wife and for your daughter.
Hmm.
And it's not 100% on her.
Yeah.
It's your decision. And so this is a huge shift that people need to make to where you fully embrace your identity as the CEO and the decision maker in your business, but also in your family.
Yeah.
And when I made that shift too, I made the biggest investment in my life, I mean, my business earlier this year, and my wife was very skeptical of it. But looking back at it 6 months later, it's the
Yeah.
best decision I've made all year.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing for you. You started to lead your family in that way. That
Yeah.
was that was really good.
Well, and
So
it's not even like that, typical male female role because we're very
yeah,
much on the same level. It's more that understanding of I am I'm an individual that can make individual choices because when your wife is such your best friend, you become a unit and you you
yeah,
you make decisions as a unit. But there are this is where that shift of leader means is like, okay, as a unit on the weekend, we may be like, you know, let's just hang out, let's not do anything. But as the leader mindset in that that shift of the, positive health and wellness, it's like, no, we're going to go on a walk. I'm not giving her the option. It's like, we're going to do that. And that's that leader bit. And I can give her the option, like, you can come, or I'm just going to take Riley. And she'll come because we are a
Yeah.
unit. But it's like making that mindset because we're definitely not that whole, I'm the man, I make the
Yeah.
decisions family. But it's like, there is an aspect of that healthy leadership. And I can
Yeah.
see the level that she appreciates that healthy leadership as well.
That's what I want to ask is since you've gone through this process, made this shift, like has she noticed? Has she said anything to you, or like how do you see that she's responded to that leadership?
I think the biggest difference has been her confidence in my decision making as the CEO. So at the beginning, like your wife, very skeptical about decisions, and I always
Yeah.
run through worst case scenario. Like I got my pregnant wife to move to Hawaii, buy a business with no guaranteed income, and have a baby 3 months later.
Oh,
I
wow.
like to do that. It was basically like worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, we try, we fail, we go back to the bosses that love us that we're leaving, and we go back to the house we own in Portland. Like our life, we're two doctors, like we're not going to end up on the streets, you know? So
Yeah.
for us, it was like, but she was still anxious about it because there was still that level of like concern of like, oh, are we doing the right thing? Like, do you know what you're doing? Like all that. And so I think the shift in this time period, because I've shifted to that leader, to that CEO identity, I don't, she doesn't hesitate as much when I have decisions. Like we just hired a doctor and I want to hire a fourth doctor. And I thought she'd be like, oh, no, absolutely not. Like, are you crazy? Like we just hired one. But when I told her, I said, this is why I want to hire it and this is what we're gonna do. This is what I want to do. She was like, okay. Like she was more like, yeah, because she trusted that I'm leading us in the right direction, which massive.
Wow. Dude, that's got to feel how does that feel?
I mean, I feel like it feels so good because it's like, as the guy, you want to be the one that supports the family. I've worked really hard so that she could raise our daughter and that she only had to work part-time. And she really worked part-time because she wanted to. When you're a doctor, you want to help people. You get into this to help people. And so she wanted to. But I wanted to make sure that I work hard to provide for her, that if she didn't want to, she wouldn't have to. And so I
Hmm.
think that mindset, it feels so good to be able to do that, but also do it with confidence now of like, I've got this. You can take a deep breath and trust me. And I think it really took till this transition to get to that point, and that came from you helping me change my identity to have that confidence to be the leader, to be the CEO, and allow that to happen. Because once I've been in that space, it's that essence has like spewed over. Like even my team at the office, they treat me more like the boss now than they ever have.
That is so cool, man.
Yeah.
Like I think that's been like the theme from the very beginning, the very first call is shifting that identity.
Yeah.
And it's been so cool because we've talked about how it carries over into every area of your
Hmm.
life, your
Hmm.
personal health, the way that you lead your business, the way that you lead your family at home, the way that you show up for your daughter, the
Yeah.
way that you lead your team. So you kind of touched on this, but I'm just kind of curious in your own words, how have you changed as a person through this process?
That's a good question. I feel much more confident and who I've wanted to be. Everybody kind of has an idea of who they want to be, unless they're still in the exploration phase. But once you kind of know who you want to be and the direction you want to go in life, you see it over here. But to feel it in here is very different. And since making that transition, that identity shift of me, I just feel like my crazy wild goals are actually achievable. That I am more confident when I'm in social situations. I don't wait. I don't feel like, because I'm young, I'm just about to turn 30. I'm a small guy. I'm 5'7". I don't got a lot of muscles. Like I'm not that like walk in a room and look like, oh, this guy. he's got his shit together right here, and so that always kind of had weight. That was some luggage, some baggage holding me back from making that transition. And since making that transition, it's allowed me to remove all of that insecurities and like, I am that guy. And I don't really care if any of these people see it, care about it, any of that. Like, I am that guy. And that's, yeah, I mean, that's just, it feels so good inside to just eliminate all that luggage, all that care about what other people think, and just be the guy. Because at the end of the day, I'm that guy for my business, which is going to make me that guy for my family, which is going to get me the goals I want in life. And I'm going to be having that beautiful multi-million dollar property looking over the ocean and having my executive office. And I don't really care what anybody else thinks about it, you know?
Let's freaking go. Give me a fist bump or something. Like the thing that I will say about that, I can feel that in
hmm
my chest. I can feel that. And that's what's possible when you get clear on your vision. When you get clear on what are the patterns that are holding you back, you shift those and then you fully step into it and shift that identity.
Yeah.
And it's just been awesome to watch you commit from the very beginning. And that's why within a week, your number one thing was already like solved through
Yeah.
the way that you thought about it and was actually probably different than how you thought we were going to solve it.
Oh, yeah.
But every call, like you take action, you ask the hard questions, and that's why you've gotten these results. And I just want to say thank you. It's been really
Yeah.
cool to be a part of this journey and this process with you. So
Well, that was one thing I told myself at the beginning when doing this. It's an investment, time and money. And so I told myself, like, you are going to be completely vulnerable. There was uncomfortable conversations. There was uncomfortable conversations, but I was like, I am not going to gatekeep anything. Like I know how to bullshit. And so
yeah, we talked about that.
I could choose to bullshit you and just give you the answer you want to know and you'd know don't different. Or I can choose to be vulnerable and just, have that hard conversations. And I told myself, you are gonna not bullshit and you're gonna
Yeah.
be vulnerable. And I've done that the whole time. And I think that was something I told myself that if you're gonna commit to this, you're gonna commit fully. And I think that's what's really allowed that mindset shift. And
Mm.
I know I've also been impressed with your ability because I am a very high functioning intellectual person. Sometimes it's hard for me to have somebody challenge me in that sense because I'm already up here thinking about that next level. And so you were 100% able to continue to unlock those levels, like you'd ask this question and be superficial, it'd open the door, and then you'd be like, okay, he's still gatekeeping. You'd ask the next question, you ask the next question. Like you were
Yeah.
able to kind of get through that, which is definitely something that not everybody can do with me. And that's something I recognize that it's just, there's got to be a level of intelligence there to do that.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that, man. I
Yeah.
feel like I could call you out and I know what questions to ask to get you to open up and to
Yeah.
make you think
Yeah.
differently,
Oh, for
to
sure.
get you to think like that CEO.
Yeah.
So that's been super cool. One last question. Any advice for somebody who is at those beginning stages, maybe even advice to your younger self like 3 months ago when
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
before you started?
I mean, honestly, I was thinking about this today because I knew you kind of asked this question for me, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, if you have any thought, like really just pass along that reason that I did it was if you're already thinking about it, just do it. Just do it. It's an investment. It's it's expensive. We have tax write-offs as business owners, so
Yeah.
that's
It's a
great.
business expense.
It's a
Yeah.
business expense, so that made it like okay, it's in a sense free money at that point.
Yeah.
So, but in seriousness, if you are considering, if you are stuck, if you are feeling uncomfortable with yourself, if you're not at the point where you think that you like you're kind of stuck or you see where you want to be but you don't know how to get there, any question of like, oh, should I have a coach? Just do it. Just do it. You're going to get far more than you expected out of Mario. He was he would text me like when we talked about texting, he's like, "Hey, do you need a midweek pick me up text?" And I was like, "Yes." He watched me go through some rough weeks. We had some stuff go
Yeah.
on. And so like he would do it. He was committed. That structure and organization was there. And it just made me feel like, you cared.
Hmm.
I wasn't just a, paycheck. I wasn't just any of that. Like you actually have that care. And so, just amazing.
Thank you, man. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna hire you to do sales for me now. You gotta sell the business. We gotta like somehow like manipulate that to be part of your vision. Which actually we did talk about this very early on that maybe some way we could link up. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do care about you, man. I'm on your team, and seriously, it has been so cool to partner up, and I cannot wait to watch you just absolutely take this to the next level. I believe in you, and I'm just really pumped. And so, just want to say thank you for taking the time today. And then, like you heard Dr. Joe talk about, if you are at that point where you have a big vision, you have a big dream, you know that you are capable, but right now you're feeling stuck or unsure of like what that next step is, send me a message on Instagram or book a call down below, and we'll chat. So,
Just
Dr.
do it.
Joe, just
Just
do it.
do it. Just
You're the
do it.
man. Give me some. Let's go. That was awesome, dude. You got me pumped up. You got me pumped up.
Yeah, I mean, it's all true. I think there's some good aha moments in that too.